Man, every week I hear this music. I think we should be out catching gators or something. We're not Cajuns, baby. We're here at the compound, the Crappie Compound NWA. So Northwest Arkansas. In case you don't live in Northwest Arkansas, happen to have the Hardcore Crappie Fishing guys here, the team, the elites, the Beaver Lake guides that got all kinds of information. We're just going to get it right from them, and we're just going to jump on it. Something that you should know is, of course, one of us is a spider rigger. That's Lance, and then both Greg and Payton, they spider rig, and they also
do what we got to do to catch a fish.
That's right. Drop or shoot a dock or something like that. And so I like getting over top of brush piles, and I'm a little different. I cast a long way to my snipers compared to you guys, but sometimes I reel it in at 60 foot.
Tell the bass fishermen for the crappie fishing.
That's right. I think it depends if you have crappie breaks or not. And that actually takes us in. Our whole topic this week is we're talking about techniques that put crappie in the boat, put them in the live well. And if you don't want to put them in the live well, you want to let them go. And no one's gonna give you a hard time about it, because that means there's more fish for everyone else. Right. But conservation also, just playing by the rules, making sure your crappie measure, make sure you got enough. I know maybe we should give a shout out. One of you guys have the orange counters? What's that called? Who makes that?
The button.
Yeah,
we both have the button.
Mad fishing.
Mad fishing.
And what does that do?
Well, actually,
is it a countdown or count up?
You can actually. It's got two. It's basically like two counters in one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can set the limits on it. Say you got two people in the boat, and you set it at 30.
Right.
So as soon as you get to 30, it starts vibrating. It'll vibrate.
Really?
And then, so you already know without looking, you're on your. I mean, you can hear it vibrate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then. So that's a good thing. And on what I do on the other part of it, on the top part, you can actually count two people's limits. In other words, I can count how many you catch and count how many Lance catches. But what I like to do is you set the main button part for the main counter for the limit that we're catching, 30 or 45, however many people got in the boat.
Right.
And then the other one, I just count how many fish we catch all day.
Oh, wow.
It don't matter whether it's a short fish
cool.
or it's kind of interesting because at the end of the day, we may have 30 fish, but then you push the button and you look and we've caught 80 total. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of people are even buying these for sports. They'll have their kids in baseball and basketball.
Right.
And they'll have two kids are wanting to keep up with the kid's buddy,
right?
And they can keep count.
Lance doesn't have that problem. He just looks down and counts. Yeah, that's how many we got. He does them in batches. That's like a batch of 10, and that's a batch of 10, and that's a batch of 10. That's
the button also floats. If you happen to drop it in the water, it floats.
Pretty
battery.
Cool.
It's two AA batteries, and the batteries last forever.
We'll have to do a segment, a whole show just on toys, our favorite accessories.
There you
go.
And
everyone will get to bring their favorite accessories to the show. It'll be like show and tell.
Show and tell.
Show and tell with the guy with the beard. What grade are you in, son? You've been here a long time. He's slow.
Let's start. Keep up with the count with that.
No, especially in the wintertime.
Let's start with techniques. We're going to start techniques. We know you're the spider rigger, so we're going to start with you, spider rigging. Just talk a little bit about the technique and maybe a little bit about just your setup. Like, how are you going to put all those rods in at once? Just kind of keep it to that, because I know a lot of people. Actually, someone asked me the other day, how does he put his rods in, one at a time, and does he start from the left to the right? And I looked at him and I said, I don't care as long as he just gets his rods in the lake so I can fish.
Yeah.
But what's your method there?
It's been a rigging. It's slow vertical trolling, and I mean I'm using 16-foot B&M buck graphite jig pole. It's a lighter pole. I'm using if I go by myself, I'm using 8. If I have a partner, we're using 8. If I have three people or one's fishing in the back, we'll have 12 poles out.
Do you start at one end and then work your way that way, or do you put them in the middle and work your way out?
Usually, I always start in the middle because that's kind of where my live scope is.
All right.
I never really thought about it before, but now with live scope, I always kind of start in the middle because that's kind of the first 2 poles on each side. So the first 4 poles is kind of like where I mostly catch my fish, but I now work my way out, and then as I bait them, I start middle, second, and then third, and then fourth, out wide.
Okay.
But yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, that's how I do it.
and do you have the deepest ones on the outside and shallowest to the center?
No,
you don't. You stagger them.
I actually just being I'm fishing shallow right now. It's basically.
They're all the same depth.
It's all the same depth.
Because you can't go any deeper.
No. Just say like how it was been, last year before, we're in 20 foot of water. I'm on a fish. Well, let's put this one down about 15. Let's put this one all the way down the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I stagger them out.
Okay.
And then as I would notice, this 4 live scope. So as I noticed the bite come up to the top minnow, well, let's raise them up. And then that's when I realized that was about 5-6 years ago. Muddy water about like this, and we're in 20 foot of water, and I keep catching the top minnow. I just keep raising them. I was like, dang, these fish are just right underneath the surface. My swivel is just barely underneath the surface. So I mean, but with live scope and it's troll the motor down. Oh, you're in 10 foot of water. They're 8 feet deep. Put all your poles down about 6 to 7 feet deep. Keep them above it. And even the fishing shallow right now, and even 6, 7, 5 foot of water, don't put your baits on the bottom. You're scaring the fish. I've learned that. It's been so long since I've done it. I'm like, wait, I need to raise these poles back.
Because they want to feed up.
They want to feed up, but you're basically, if you're putting your minnow down there raking the bottom, you're seeing them scared. I'm like, why am I? First, I thought it was the transducer, and that's something else been up for subject. I'm like, is it my live scope or is it my boat? And why am I scaring these fish? And finally, I'm raising them up. I mean, but I had to get them way up. I mean, way up. I mean, barely the swivel's underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And that's even in the clear water.
Once again, proof that scope, the sound that comes off your transducers are subsonic. They cannot hear that. A fish can't hear it. We can hear it, but a fish can't hear it. It's not audible to them because you're actually just fishing from here to there.
I'm only about
and
13
this
feet.
far underneath the water. If that scared them, or like I always like to say, then if that scared them, if sonar scared a fish, then no one would ever catch a fish ice fishing. Literally.
Between him having his bait down low like that or spooking them, the only other thing, before my live scope spooks a fish, I think the shadow of the boat will or the wind slapping.
That's
the wind slapping the front of your boat.
That's when they know you're there.
Slap. That's when they think, okay, that's not right.
Yeah. So, Greg, what are you going to do when it comes to like techniques? We still got stained water out there. I always look that way. That's because the lake's right out there, so we can look and see what it looks like. But it's stained. So, are you casting into them? Are you dropping to them? What you doing?
I just don't do a lot of casting anymore.
All right.
If I'm live scoping, 90% of the time I use the long pole. I just like it better. I feel like I have more control on my bait, whether it needs to be moving or unless it's a faster move that I have to go to a casting rod. I just like the slower profile, slower presentation.
Right.
And I can hold it there and let him bird dog it. Once he bird dogs it and I see that tail move just a little bit, I start lifting it, and it's usually a done deal. If you pull that bait up more than 3 foot, hang it up. He's not coming.
Right.
But not all the time. If they're real aggressive, he may wait until a foot below the surface. You don't have enough arm.
So you're using the big 18-foot B&M rod there?
16 and 18.
Oh,
Yes.
16 and 18. Yeah. All right. We all use B&M rods here.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're dabbling we're dabbling more into that 16, 18-foot black diamond, which is a gorgeous
a lot
rod.
of the reasons we've transitioned to that 16 and 18 is to what he was saying. These fish are, seeming to be spooky. Whether it be your trolling motor that's spooking them or the slap of the wind or whatever. And, of course, Payton and I, we used the paddles. That's our brakes. And we can stop on those fish a lot quicker than you can because you don't have them.
That's right.
But, and then, of course, I got the crappie brakes that everybody's wanting to go to now, the trolling motors on the back of the boat. Haven't went to that degree yet. I'm not going to say that I won't go to that degree, but I'd like to be able, if I'm going to go to that, I'm waiting for them to come out to where I can use my paddles and use my tow motors if I need them.
Same time.
Yes, because there's not all conditions I need.
Right.
To me, the trolling motor, the brakes will better fit me in a lot windier condition than what my paddles can handle.
Okay.
So in other words, I may have my paddles in and I'm pretty much sitting still and that fish is just a little bit to the right or the left. And as soon as I turn and that wind catches me, choom, I'm gone. Because them paddles are holding me and it's going to take that front end pretty quickly. So with that being said, if I had the brakes, I could put the brakes on and I can hold that boat where I need it.
What kind of, are you technique-wise, have you gone to dock shooting then?
Yeah, of course. Dock shooting is a great way to catch them. And it's a great way to catch them with people that don't have electronics.
Right.
So
so do you take a lot of people out that you teach them how to dock shoot? Just
they want to learn it,
themselves?
and it's an easy way to find them. There's usually there's always fish on them. Any docks anywhere from 12 to 30 feet of water on fish. And it doesn't have to have structure. It could just have pontoon boats or lifts.
Right.
So, that's a great way to find fish year round. More in the wintertime and springtime, there's more crappie on them, it seems, because there's less disturbance on the lake from people getting on their docks and the boats and stuff.
Is there docks over in War Eagle you tell people to go to? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, definitely. I'll show them a couple. So
we'll cover that in another. That topic's all off. We've gone way hardcore when we're going into that subject.
I add a couple clips of that for sure.
We will, but
I use a 6-foot B&M. It's called a Sharpshooter 6 because it's a 6-foot pole. It's been designed for dock shooting. It's got a good stiff backbone, but also good sensitivity to fill bites. And it's got a smaller eye at the end of it for accurate shots. So I can shoot a 16-ounce jig 30 to 40 feet underneath the dock to get where the crappie are.
Wow.
So that's a great way to catch them.
Tell us about the bait that you're using when you're dock shooting. You're not using one with a lot of appendages sticking out.
Sometimes. There's a bait we use in May called a mayfly from Bobby Garland. It looks like a mayfly. It's got wings and a split tail that works really good. Most of the time I'm fishing a baby shad.
Okay.
Just a regular single tail bait. And obviously it has less resistance flying through the air, so that's what we use to shoot, get back there to them.
Right.
So...
And they will skip a little bit.
Yeah, they will. Yep. But the main thing is distance. I mean, getting back in there where the crappie are, they're going to be in the dark places they can and cover. And they're an ambush predator, it seems like the black crappie are, so they're hiding in the dark waiting for something to swim by.
Is there some way a person could practice, like if they were dock shooting? Is there a way they could practice in their house? Have you ever
I always tell people
to practice in their house?
Shoot into a 5-gallon bucket. Put it in the corner of the house and just sit there and shoot into it.
Okay.
So
find us a bucket.
Make sure.
We'll have
6 pound.
start
I
shooting.
like to use 6-pound tests.
Make sure
shoot
there's no
with.
windows and no breakables
Yeah.
in that area because you might even want to put something up on the sheetrock.
And, I always tell people, get prepared to lose a lot of jig heads.
Oh, a lot of jig heads?
Yeah, use a lot of jig heads. So,
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going strolling out there, I'm just gonna spot them. I'm just gonna snipe them. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm waiting. There's a certain
hooked.
time of year. I'm just waiting.
I think black crappie tastes better myself.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that period of time when I can break out the curly tail grub and do more, just like going down the bank and stuff. So people have, people have it really easy if they're just have a whole bank to cast to, and of course, I'm not opposed to catching all kinds of fish.
I think that's going to get better again.
It is because the water's
the live
out.
scope's already made dock fishing good again because people leave the docks alone
Yeah.
and started just chasing roamers and stuff. So fishing just brush piles.
Same way as
Last year was really good on the grub.
I saw less people last year fishing the bank.
Yeah, I mean we did really good in a couple banks, and they just kept replenishing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think like those places you're going, they replenish, or are they? Will you catch them? And
I think they're moving in waves.
They move in in waves
Mm-hmm.
that time of year.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Probably don't realize the migration of crappie as they start migrating in the river. So they'll start catching those banks, and then at some point they're not there, but they're down.
Yeah,
to half a mile down the arm.
Yeah, good stuff. Always want to learn about techniques. If you want to learn more, of course, you can always subscribe, because then you'll get to find us every week right here. And of course, we'll have these the 4 guides that'll be on the show talking fishing, all kinds of stuff. Make sure you subscribe again. Lance, if they wanted to get hold of you, where would they go?
You can go to Lance Hughey Crappie Guide service on Facebook, or you can just reach me on my phone, 479-236-4105.
There you go, Greg.
Facebook's Greg's Guide Service, or 479-601-1683.
Hey.
reach out to me at Payton Usrey Fishing at 479-387-6153.
I'm Brad Wiegmann. You can just go to my Facebook page, just send me a private message, and I'll get in touch with you, and we'll figure out a time to go out there and catch some of those fish. It's a good time to catch them, and make me clean fish. Make me clean fish. That's what clean fish for someone else. No, well, I'm going to tell everyone just to keep it hardcore. Are we? Are we hardcore? Look at these guys. They've been practicing. I think they've been practicing on their way here. Keep it hardcore.